You guys just like looked on the timeline, woke it up, and week two ago, you're feeling kind of good, and then you wake up on the timeline today, and like 99% of it is bearish posts. You have the few people that are like, "Hey, listen, here's an optimistic scenario," but wow, are people ever bearish on crypto? Well, we are seeing gold and some other things going absolutely crazy. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. What's up? My name is Schiller. We're going to be talking a ton about the market, people's perspective. We are also going to dive into what we can find regarding NFTs and news around it, because it's been rather slim pickings for obvious reasons. But is that a problem that we seem to have a little bit of fluctuation in the news deliverance during market turbulence? Questions to have. But let's stop and talk for a moment here about Igloo Inc. and Abstract, because this is kind of a conversation where if you've indulged yourself in a couple of different blockchains from inception or from otherwise, you'll see all of them being wildly different. As an example, this is a chart that's blockchains by funding. Yo, Pickle, what's going on? Crypto is crashing. I'm poor again. Yo, when were we ever not? True. But within here, Barachain, right? This was something that I felt like had all the hype in the world on the timeline, and then I haven't seen a whole lot for it. Monad, same thing. People are ripping on what's going on with like Punk Strategy and TokenWorks being like, oh, the token's down, this and that. Because everybody was just like freaking out about the Monad airdrop, and now I don't see like a single person even talking about it. Sol, again, the meme coin season, gaming, we have all these things that are out there working. But for Sol, 314 mil funding, for Monad, 244, Barachain, 211. Then you could scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you see Ethereum at 18 million and Abstract at 11. And again, the graphic is showing blockchains by funding. And so looking at saying the story of Igloo Inc. and Abstract is most impressive when viewed through the lens of value created relative to dollars raised. Few teams have generated more value per dollar invested. Yo, Arcadia, good morning, good morning. And the highest ones on this is Polygon at 450 million. I remember the big hoopla around Polygon when all of us said, we hate Ethereum gas, we're switching to Polygon. And then people tried doing NFTs on Polygon, and then the narrative was like, well, anything with values on ETH. And then it's like, okay, what are we doing? But crazy for a perspective chance there. Again, Abstract and ETH way at the bottom, and then Polygon and Aptos at the largest. Yo, Dr. Batgal, how we doing? And then here's a take. And so I saw, actually, Beccal, I saw your post earlier regarding Root Network and Futureverse, and this is just a quick quote from Luca, and then we'll bring up why I'm bringing that up.
I think Abstract or blockchains in general live and die by the apps that are built on the chain. Chains don't make apps. Apps make chains.
And thinking about the Root Network, guys, what apps, what experiences, what things do we have on there? Absolutely nothing.
And I need as many good builders as possible to deploy good products and good builds on the chain. And in return, we try to give him as much distribution as possible.
So this is something actually that we maybe haven't discussed. I think we did earlier in the year, but about chains offering incentives. So I'm trying to think of like a recent one, and I can't really. Well, actually, I guess everything around Immutable, right? When you look on Immutable, they have all of these posts from Robbie Ferguson, and it's him virtually every other day saying, we just signed a new game that has, I don't know what, like 500,000 daily players. It's large numbers all over the board. Millions. Oh my God, we got Might and Magic, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to know what the behind the scenes looks like for that, on like how much Immutable is offering or incentivizing teams, because we saw for a while, everyone starting to say, hey, we got extra funding if you're wanting to apply for these funds. Like we don't have the funds that we used to on the timeline, right? And part of this is obviously my experience within Featureverse, because they had the Born Ready, they had I don't know if it's the Denari Labs. I feel like I want to say Redbeard Ventures, but I don't think that was a part of it. But there's all these extra funds. But the point being is it was like $25 to $50 million funds that were created within just that ecosystem of something that I was hyper focused on, right? So I know in my little niche of the world that is also happening elsewhere and around the globe, and so what happened to these funds? What are the incentives right now? Is there even any incentive? Like, do people even have the funds to happen? Because we're getting all these reports about banks, loans, etc., out of the States, and people talking about emergency loans, rate cuts, everything. Like, it's been a hell of a week. Litecoin is down 34% for the week, and I now don't even have a stack to put my PB&J in. Well, I'm allergic to that. So if we were going to hang out, you weren't going to eat that anyway. So scrap that off the table. You're vibing, buddy. That's why your pickle is distressed. True. And then other news regarding Igloo Inc. They're partnering with Invariant to bring Pudgy Penguins and Pengu token to Washington, D.C. I feel like this was a headline like a month ago of something to do with Igloo Inc. working with the government to help with regulations, but maybe this one's different. Igloo Inc. is proud to announce its partnership with Invariant, a leading bipartisan public affairs, lobbying, and government relations firm to help share the story of Pudgy Penguins and Pengu with U.S. policymakers working together to help shape the future of crypto alongside the federal government. I'm trying to imagine a bunch of people at like a round table when it's like really, you're in an environment where you can't really have fun with it, and then people are bringing in like a stuffed fat penguin. I don't know. I feel like that would be hilarious. As crypto grows, the most culturally resonant and widely adopted ones must inevitably find their place within institutional and political frameworks. Over the past year, our team has engaged with members of Congress and senior staffers through private events, Hill visits, and policy discussions. Now, with Invariant's expertise, we're taking this engagement to the next level. This collaboration will establish continuous touch points between the face of crypto, Pengu, and those working to make crypto a better place each and every day. With hundreds of millions of daily impressions, physical products across major retailers, and growing institutional recognition, Pudgy Penguins represents one of the most approachable and relatable use cases for crypto adoption. Together with Invariant, we're excited to bring the story and this movement to the heart of Washington. Great read. I think the last line is actually kind of big, and I feel like originally I wouldn't really care that much, but in terms of like approachability and onboarding, outside of sports, what is there? What is there apart from like some of these games that end up like, well, not all of them, before I say all of them going kaputs, like there's just so much failure within that where it's like, how could we be fun with it? But the upcoming episode of RWA Segments, I talked with Adam Gomez, the co-founder of Portals. I had him on again before, but we talked just business. Now I'm like, listen, I need you to lay it on the line. I'm a little fish in a big pond here, and we're trying to find out. Because I played games, right? Remember, part of the reason why I ended up getting in crypto was like, okay, I had a RuneScape account, right? I played that game for like 10 plus years, spent endless amounts of hours within like my teenage and younger years, and then all of a sudden the account gets hacked or there's some other BS, and okay, well, that entire time was completely wasted. And I've seen some other videos the other day of people talking about that kind of in reference to World of Warcraft and some of these other games. And so that was a point for me being like, okay, you know what, like this crypto aspect, like actually owning your assets, like that's a really, really cool concept. And then just seeing, hey, it kind of turned into a speculative nature where a lot of stuff hasn't worked. But is it the fact that the games and whatnot didn't work because they were not marketed right, whatever? Or was it just the teams that were building them were not the smartest? But Adam, absolute smartest guy. Well, smartest ever, I was going to say, but that's maybe a little bit of hyperbolic. But we really get into the weeds, and he shares a lot of insights regarding the game industry and more. So again, if you're wanting to listen to other conversation similar to that, if you check out the link in the description below on YouTube or in my bio on X, the RWA SegMints Podcast is the place to check that out. Tropo Farmer, you just had to be there. Do you guys remember Proof Pass this? So there's a guy named Kevin Rose, and very notable individual within the space, and had massive falling outs, but at one point, the passes that they created were going for $500,000. There was only 1,000 of them, and don't know if we ever thought, yeah, all right, so 3 years of different like art style drops, that's going to absolutely be worth $500,000. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Do you remember just 2 days ago, PayPal minted $300 trillion on Ethereum? True story, by the way. Here's the transaction to look at it. $300 trillion. We can just say things. We can just do things. Welcome to 2025. Would you rather take 300 trillion or have a dinner with Jay-Z? What? Interesting response there from Doodles. Paxos making a comment regarding it. At 3:12 p.m. Eastern, Paxos mistakenly minted Access PayPal USD as part of an internal transfer to the tune of 300 trillion. Paxos immediately identified the error and burned the Access PayPal USD. This was an internal technical error. There was no security breach. Customer funds are safe. We have addressed the root cause. I want you to, just maybe close your eyes for a second or daydream a little bit. Think of like the worst day that you've ever had at any kind of like work situation, getting yelled at by a boss, just absolutely mucking it up. And just know in your heart, you didn't screw up by minting 300 trillion of a stable coin. I'm already feeling better just thinking about it. Man, the saddest thing that can happen in crypto is when a team whose vision you really believed in just starts collapsing in real time. Believe in something. We can go down a list of all of the things that have just been absolutely god-awful. And it's like entirely due to the team, right? And so when we've been talking about the punk strategy and the focus on NFTs, it's kind of like an overarching community aspect, right? Where it's like, all right, we have different parts of different communities and teams. Some of them are going to fail. Some of them are going to work. But ultimately, what the hell matters? And a lot of the NFTs just are like a cultural thing. And we can argue whether they have value or not. But that's one of my biggest shifts probably in 2025 of just seeing kind of a repeated thrashing from teams that have had insane amounts of money pumped into them that just keep fumbling. So digital assets can just be created to the tune of 300 trillion. Yeah, I mean, on top of whatever Binance shenanigans were going on, which again, there's more and more reports of people having like lawsuits and all this crazy stuff that's coming out from it. I mean, I feel like the sentiment, the market dynamics, I feel have really changed almost everyone's perspective within the space. And so part of the turbulence absolutely is because of that. So J-Bond saying, if you have 7.8 ETH, which one are you going for between Bored Apes and Pudgy Penguins? So when we talk about teams and utility, here's the utility, for yourself, pick between the two. So for Bored Apes, they have Ape Fest coming up, likely Clubhouse news and updates on future of the club. If you don't know what Ape Fest is, basically it's a once-a-year event. They've done it in Hong Kong. They've done it multiple times within the States. And I think Portugal was 1 year too. But basically there's artists, there's events, there's merch, all that kind of stuff. But you got to go around kind of the globe to participate if you want. Complex Con partnership, BAYC having a booth alongside the likes of Nike, Adidas, Lego, etc. Don't forget Nike and Adidas kind of bailed on Web3. ApeCoin integration with Solana, Hyper EVM, and BNB chain, plus potential new updates on ApeCoin from ApeCo in ApeFest. Wow, a lot of aping. Other side, persistent state coming closer with more avatars being onboarded. I feel like the thing around other side is like sort of interesting. But I'm also like, what's going to like drive people there? Like, are you just going to have to like incentivize gameplay and say, hey, we got like a whole bunch of prizes and whatnot? Are people going to enjoy just walking around with an experience? Because I would make the argument that like, if I was going to self-reflect and say, all right, if I had like the group that I play League of Legends with, which I haven't played for like 3 weeks, so maybe this is a horrible thing, but if they're like, yo, let's go like experience this new game. All right, well, maybe we jump on it and kind of hang out like as a group to do it and whatnot, but are we going to see a lot of content creators around it? Are we going to see a lot of activations around it? Are we going to see a lot of prize pools being offered within it? Very curious of what the onboarding looks like. Because again, dealing with Futureverse and watching Readyverse kind of launch, and I was like, all right, well, there's literally nobody in this world. You get another side of a little bit of a difference within that because there actually is a decent sized audience. But how do you break away beyond that would be my thought with it. So for Pudgy Penguins, Q4 is always the biggest quarter. Okay, are we saying for like Pudgy Penguins? Or are we saying for like markets in general? What do we mean by that? We have still to know the biggest partnership they closed, likely coming in Q4. The Pengu ETF potential approved that can cause TradFi to buy Pengu and Pudgy NFTs via the ETF, and then Abstract, TGE, and Airdrop. Well, okay, listen, I feel like they basically like put all these like things that are happening with Bored Apes, and they're like, yeah, there's a bunch of mysterious stuff, but there's a chance that it could be good for Pengu. I feel like there's got to be more on the Pengu side. No, there's got to be more. So on the 15th, again, 2 days ago, people are saying queues to buy gold in Hong Kong from normal shops in IFC Mall now. And these are the videos that have just been all over the timeline of people lining up everywhere to buy gold. Just crazy. Crazy. A little bit of a change for you. See the Utah Mammoth mascot? Yo, Tusky? Hell yeah. Love to see it. The line between sports collectibles and digital assets keeps blurring. He's getting a new pair of glasses, baby. Every week, it's Geoff Wilson spotlights an NFL all-day moment tracking how player performance drives value. Can I ask like a serious question? Have we ever seen within like the sporting world where like a player's performance has really done that much to the price of it? The only time that I can ever really think of it was, I think, when Fred VanVleet broke like the Raptors record for points and his $2 moment went to, I think, like $4 or $5 and then came back down like a day later. I feel like there's all these historical narratives and whatnot, but like for these sports collectible platforms that are, you know, digital collectibles, they've not really moved that much with like a player's individual performance. Maybe I'm wrong. But Drew Austin, if NBA Top Shot doesn't blow you away this year and come back stronger than ever, I'll never tweet about it again. I'm having like PTSD because I've seen this comment like every year for the past several years since Top Shot's inception. People say, hey, you know what? Like the offseason, we're going into a big year. It's going to be great. I don't know. Is this time different? The quote of the year, is this time different? A 61-year-old man lost $120,000 to a TikTok romance scammer. What? Posing as Lisa, she made the victim send money through Cash App and Bitcoin ATMs. I feel like we continue to have crazy stories. And here's another one. So this person posts about how like this worker was like sleeping inside the store. And it's got like 500,000 impressions. And I think people like actually believe it's real, but it's a fake AI video. And we're getting to a very like dystopian future where the Toronto Blue Jays posted because they're against the Seattle Mariners, right? And they have this graphic of like a Blue Jay going to like the Mariners compass, right? For their logo. And the entire conversation and like 90% of the comments isn't anything to do with the game. It's about talking whether like this is AI or real. Reason number 1 billion why you shouldn't use that AI slot bullshit. This rocks so hard. How do we even know that it's not AI, right? In theory, like legitimately, we can't even tell anymore. We just looked at two things. Well, actually, sorry, I guess one of them was just like a scammer and the person fell for it. Not necessarily AI related, right? But then we had the other one where it was the government official saying, hey, go invest your money in this fund. It's super, super safe. And now everybody's getting all turned up about, is this an AI video or image or not? It's crazy. Reminder about D-Bridge, especially if you're somebody that got the OpenSea rewards, please, please, please be aware of what D-Bridge is. Because if you've got Arbitrum, if you've got some of the other prizes and you need to figure out how to bridge, D-Bridge is like legitimately amazing for it. And it's just like bridge with a D-E in front of it, D-Bridge. So let's talk about OpenSea for uno momento. The chess just happened, and if you're not familiar, basically OpenSea is the largest NFT marketplace. They are having a token that is coming in anticipation before the end of this year. So how do you get points for this? Well, they have something that they're taking into consideration from previous volumes back in 2021 when things went really, really crazy. They have these different challenges per se. It's not the right word, but voyages, where if you buy an NFT for like $10, you get 100 points that use whatever. And they recently added where you could trade tokens, not just the NFTs back and forth. And there was a fee associated with that. And they took 50% of the fee and went and bought crypto, NFTs, etc. And so that farming situation ended the other day, and people got their airdrops. Now, the catch with this is that I guess people were assuming that they were going to like break even, if not like make a lot of money on it. where most people just got like back 50% of whatever it is, which is, if you're just trading and there's these fees that are associated with it, it's whatever. But we've seen where people were just basically wash trading to try to get their points up. And it turned out, at least currently, that wasn't a plus EV, estimated value play. But we're still waiting to see what the TGE actually brings up. So early rewards now. What does the TGE do? Could be very, very interesting. Yo, Corvus, how are we doing? Good morning, good morning. No one talks about ETFs anymore. Isn't it the end of October when there's like a bajillion ETFs that are supposed to be approved? Oh, right. There is. Sorry. Guess we kind of forgot about that, even though we brought it up on every stream for like a month. ETF month is here. The SEC faces 16 spot crypto ETFs decision in October. So what happens with this? Like, is all these people going to be like, nah? I mean, okay, so let's look. Bitcoin and ETH basket. I guess I'm assuming like a basket of tokens. Bitcoin and ETH, so 3 for that. Basket. Litecoin, they got 3. Solana's got about, I don't know, let's call it 8. Doge is 1. XRP's got like 6, 7, and then Cardano. And that, I mean, this is probably missing some too. I don't know. Didn't the Bitcoin and ETH ETFs like actually end up doing like pretty well? People didn't give like any credit for it at the time, but I feel like a little bit after like its inception, it definitely helped because we saw those inflows. Remember, every single day we were looking on the timeline. Okay, Bitcoin ETFs have this amount of inflow and outflow. Okay, ETH does, and people were comparing and saying, "Oh my God, look, ETH is about to go. ETH is about to go." And then nobody posts anything. Just absolute despair. New strategy launching tomorrow, which is today at 12 p.m. So we're about an hour, 20 minutes away from seeing what TokenWorks has to cook. We'll see if it's a good meal. 19 billion liquidated on Friday. 200 million liquidated on Tuesday. Only 135 million liquidated today. And I do believe that there was this one this morning. Another 250 million liquidated from cryptocurrency market in the past 60 minutes. And this was at 3 a.m. Well, you might have been asleep or awake, depending on what part of the world you are. Just a casual 19,000% return. All right, let me say that again. 19,000% return from a one-ton mint on Ape Edition sticker packs. So they paid $2. And the floor price for those is just about $600 now. So opportunities are absolutely abundant if you're paying attention to certain things. And that's just kind of crazy to think about in the first place. True. So with the OpenSea drop, here's like kind of a snapshot of the timeline. It took a couple tweets. I just want to say a huge thank you to OpenSea for the $31 reward in WETH. It makes me really excited about the OpenSea token. Thanks for making me rich, OpenSea. Truly life-changing. And this was the solar chest, which in of itself cost, I believe, $10,000 to complete just the solar tier. Because there was like 12 different tiers. Spend like $50, $100, whatever in fees, yada, yada. You get to the last one, and each chest has like, well, I don't know if it was each chest, but the later ones for sure had sort of like 3 tiers with it. So you could get like a Sapphire, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And so for just the solar chest, which this person got, cost $10,000 in fees, and they got back about $5K. A little bit under. But it's caused a lot of fun. Now we have some positive news too. MoonPay with a major announcement. Introducing MoonPay Commerce as a way for merchants to integrate seamless crypto checkout and deposit products, accept a variety of crypto, get paid in stables and via credit card with setup in minutes. So that's always cool. We'll just let the video play for uno momento. But again, a bunch of different cryptos. How do you do commerce? How do you make it a little bit easier? Do we have it where people want to pay more in crypto? Not after the past week, but soon. The money given to NFT companies in 2021, just absurd. So we looked at blockchains that got specific funding earlier in the stream, but LG Doucette bringing up a post from August 10th of 2022 saying that Candy Digital got 100 million, and then somehow they got sold to Futureverse that went bankrupt. Yeah. Okay. Yo, where can we get an investigation here? What are we doing? The Sandbox, $93 million. Unstoppable Web, $72 million. I feel like this was just like ENS, but different, unless I'm wrong with that remembering. Join Royale, I have no idea, $71 million. Recurve Forever, this is the team behind doing some of the like Care Bears, Rugrats drops. $55 million. They did it for like less than a year, and then I think they just said, "Oh, this isn't sustainable. We can't do anything." Okay, good job figuring that out with $55 million. VFriends, $50 million, still kicking around, doing quite a lot, to be totally honest. Like, people can FUD Gary, but I feel in terms of like actually delivering different things, having a base, having an IP that's expanded and gotten better from the original ones that he just drew himself, absolutely there. Parallel, $50 million. This was the trading card game with a bunch of different tournaments. Well, I don't know if a bunch, but they had one of the bigger payouts for winning their tournament lately. On-Chain Studios, $34 million. NFT Port, $26 million. VH Studio, $20 million. Rarible, the NFT marketplace, $16 million. Tally Labs, which did Azure Ball and all that, and Jenkins the Valet, and is like defunct now, $12 million. And then Moonbirds got $10 million early, but Moonbirds also raised in like 50 or something a little bit later. So I feel like that number was before another big happening at that time. So you wake up, right, and you look on the timeline, and then you read this, right, Envision. If you've been sidelined, believe this is a good opportunity to scale into high-conviction off-ramps. If you're fully invested, don't survive. Don't hold your spot positions, and do capitulate. Someone once said liquidations are a forced transfer of wealth from traders who need leverage to the trash bins. I was enjoying retirement from social media, but don't want to see my brothers get left holding the bag when the future is still so horrible. So I got like 14,000 views, right? Then he had a comment on it saying, vibes are so bad, no one understands that this is a troll post. I'm now going back to serious posting only from now on. Like, the sentiment is just hilarious. But another $1 billion in crypto positions have been liquidated in the last 24 hours. Why is everybody using leverage? What's going on? What are we doing? What are we doing? Yo, it's supposed to be Friday, and everybody is just absolutely max depressed. It's crazy. But that's it for this edition of XFeed. Holy smokes. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been awesome over the past week and the past years doing this. We're going to continue to do it. I mean, the market fluctuates, but we're still vibing out. Corvus, Distress Pickle, Snazzy, Deadpool Diva, Dr. Batcal, and Arcadia. Thank you guys for coming live, and anybody else watching afterwards. Again, any likes, shares on the video would be absolutely phenomenal, and I will see you on Monday. Peace.